It's a little dry work. It kind of does suck when you're doing it. But what doesn't suck is when you actually start making money from it. I think what's important is that you have a balance between SEO strategy, which is search engine optimization. So that's like if you type something into Google, for instance, that's going to show up on the search engine. Pinterest is also its own search engine. YouTube is a search engine. It's actually tied into Google. So LinkedIn is a search engine. So if you have a strategy involving using a search engine and you have a strategy that you involve with your social media, and you just focus on two platforms. So let's say I decide, like, okay, I want to build up my salon space. So the easiest way for me to find hairstylists in my area might be either Twitter or LinkedIn. So because Twitter and LinkedIn are meant to be more for business, but you can actually search by region. So if I wanted to just focus on the Portland metropolitan area, I can reach people the quickest by doing that than I would going through Instagram and DMing a bunch of people I don't know. So doing that piece can be really fundamental for your business and growing it, but it's also like a way of putting your efforts into something that you're going to get a higher return on that time that you're spending on it. And then the second piece would be a social media strategy. So then you're deciding, like, okay, do I want to focus my efforts on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok? Is your target market hanging out there? And does it feel more relatable to you? Do you enjoy it being on there more? Because we all know that where you put your efforts in is where you're going to see the return. That's where you're going to get the reward. If you don't like the process as you're doing it, it's not going to feel very good for you, and you might not get the return you're looking for on it either. Find the platform that feels the best fit. Find two platforms where it's like social media on one end, SEO on another, and just focus on that for a little while. And by a little while, you got to give it 3 to 6 months at least. 3 to 6 months is going to give you enough indicators that you can kind of weigh what's going really well and what's not going well. And it's also going to give you enough stats that you can look back on and see what's performing really well so that you can actually invest ad space into something. Knowing who it is that you're attracting is going to be more important than coming up with the strategy, because you can't come up with a strategy until you kind of figure out who it is that the audience that you're trying to draw in. And doing like the reels or the funny skits and like doing stuff on TikTok, like as fun as that can be, if it's not attracting the right kind of clientele and you're looking just to get a higher performance on them, that can be so different than getting clientele out of it, right? So it's like, yeah, that thing could go viral. You could get you could get a ton more followers out of it, get lots of likes and comments, and like people will want to follow along. But is that going to build your business? So there might be two separate strategies that happen within that piece. Like one could be for fun, and one could be like to build like more of a community, and the other could be building your business and you're passing on knowledge, and it's going to be more informational for your ideal client. So there could be a combination of those two, but I think definitely coming up with a strategy within, like, just thinking about, well, what would my ideal client like to have, and what would she find most useful, and what can I do to not just create a relationship with her, but also maintain a relationship with her. Because sometimes I think there's a lot of focus on getting new business when we really want to focus on like creating a sustainable business. And part of creating sustainability is having a deeper relationship and having that community piece intact, so people don't feel like every time they see you you're doing something different. Like staying consistent with that is really important. A couple of things that I think also should happen whenever you're coming up with your strategies. So number one, wherever you're starting, like if you're like, well, how do I start this whole process? So in the beginning, with anything, starting the process is simply just planning it out. And when you're planning it, you want to choose about 2 to 5 key performance indicators. So you choose those 2 to 5 KPIs to measure. And the best way to measure it is you focus on like, okay, what is it that I want to look through? Do I want to look at the click-throughs or the shares or the traffic that's coming through? And you just want to keep checking on that on a weekly basis. Like check one day out of the week and keep looking at those indicators. And I would suggest either writing it down if you're a tactile person, or having a graph or something where you can actually start measuring it so you can really look at that. It might not be very fun in the beginning, but I promise when that starts to grow or you start to get some answers out of it, it's going to feel really good. And you're also going to have a lot easier time coming up with a plan or a strategy around it. The other piece I would say is let others support you. So, letting others support you might be your community. So, reaching out to the clients that you already have and asking them to like send a selfie to you or have a contest that surrounds it. Maybe you create a model release form and the model after she has pictures done, you ask, you want to have some of those images in return, or you ask her to do a shout out on social. So something like that, where you can let other people be a part of this process with you. The third thing I would say is just work on building your rapport. I said it earlier, like gaining new clientele is going to be harder than just keeping the existing clientele. The better you are keeping your existing clientele, the easier it's going to be to get new clients. And the reason why is because you're remaining consistent and these people know what to expect from you. And they have already made a decision when they start seeing you. They've already decided that they like you, they know you, they trust you, and when they start seeing you, you get to be that same person to them. So they've already built a relationship with you before you even knew it. So 59% of revenue that gets generated for the average business, 59%, you guys, comes from email marketing. So email marketing is a essential and vital piece in transferring information to your existing clientele, letting them be a part of any changes that are happening in your business, welcoming them back. Anytime you would have a contest, let's say, or a promo for your business, you can share that through email marketing. It's a really, really great way to keep that relationship going with that client. And it's also a nice way to remind them that you're still here. And then the fourth piece I would say is keyword research. There's a lot of people that don't do this, and this is kind of unfortunate. Google, like take advantage of Google and Pinterest. If you go to Google and you start typing a keyword in and it fills the blanks in for you, see what pops up on it. And whatever pops up on it, that's going to be a keyword that might be for you. So let's say you're trying to build your clientele in Portland, let's say Portland hairstylist. Let's say that you start typing in Portland hairstylist. But when you start typing it in, maybe it says Portland hairdresser or Portland hair or best Portland hairstylist. The one that pops up for you is going to be auto generated based on what's popular in the search engine. Let the search engine do the work for you. So if you start typing that in both in Pinterest and Google, this is something I do monthly. This will help you come up with how you strategize your content that you're putting out there, because the keywords are the parts of your blog post, let's say, or the title that you have in something, or the description that you have in something. Even with the podcast, I will look up some keywords and I will make sure that those keywords are in either the title or the first two sentences of the description, because that's what's going to get auto populated on Google. Yes, it's a little dry work. It kind of does suck when you're doing it. But what doesn't suck is when you actually start making money from it. So I haven't met anybody that doesn't like money, guys. And if you start doing the keyword research and you actually start generating business from it, you are very welcome. And it will be very easy to do that rather than having to sell yourself to a bunch of people who don't belong to you. Number 5, ongoing educate yourself. Educate yourself by doing a survey, listening to your clients, learning what does and doesn't work. Like, we're not going to do everything perfectly. So it's okay to send a survey out to your clients, and maybe you have clients that don't ever come back to you. Maybe you get a bad review. Is it okay to not get butthurt about the bad review? Can you maybe put your emotions aside for a second and just see, where's the learning lesson in this? What could I have done differently? Maybe she did have a bad experience. Maybe I need to kind of trust what she's saying. And even though it might not feel good, what can I do differently so I don't get more people? Because if she's being vocal about it, you bet your sweet buns there's a lot of people out there that are not going to be vocal, that are never going to come back to you, and you'll never know why. So you got to be thankful for the ones that actually do speak up. Number 6 is like checking your billboards. And what I mean by checking your billboards, like look at your website, look at your landing page, make sure that there are no broken links, like I was saying earlier. One of the resources that I use is called Beacons. Beacons is a landing page that you can curate the way that you want to, and you can plug that in as a one-time link into your TikTok, into your Facebook, into your Instagram. And it's a really cool way around having a really beautifully curated website, because you can make your own landing page the way that you want it, where you have the top links in there. It's very similar to Linktree, but what I like about Beacons a lot more is that there are a lot more options with it that are free. And yeah, you can pay for the paid version if you wanted to, like, okay, let's say you wanted to be like a very specific website and you wanted to not have the word beacons in it, then you could do that and pay for that. I have that on my personal one, but for the other accounts, I just have the regular free beacons link. So I'm going to actually put that in the show notes, because I feel like that's probably the number one thing that if you were to change anything within your social media strategies, at least get a link that has other links inside of it, so that whoever's coming to visit you, you get to take them on a journey and they get to pick and choose their own adventure. But at least you're leading them down a path that makes them, that sets you up for success and puts them in the right place. I'm going to give you one last thing to work on. So now that you've made a plan and you've figured out a way to have others support you around you and build out your community and put some of your marketing efforts into your email marketing and doing your keyword research and learning through educating yourself by asking your clients for surveys and listening into what they have to say, and then checking your billboards, make sure you get involved in things. So, like, getting involved in things means like outside of your business. Like, if you want to build a community, you've got to actually be active in your own community. So, being active in your own community might be like doing some charity work, donating, being a part of a fundraiser. I've done like Dress for Success before. We have a place called Rose Haven around here, which is a shelter for women and children. And it not only feels good, but it's also a really great way for other people in your own community to discover you. And how cool is it that you can do philanthropy work and you could also build like your network in doing that? And maybe your network doesn't come directly through that, but they do their own ads, they do their own promotion as a nonprofit, and being involved with something like that is also going to get you printed out there too. So there is something in it for both of you guys. It's not just about the philanthropy work, but although I will say doing that, it makes your cause feel a little different, and it really does feel good, guys. And so even just getting involved with a cause doesn't have to necessarily just be the charity or the donating or the fundraisers, but also getting involved can be just being a part of your own community inside and outside. So outside might be in the real world, in real life. The inside would be within, social media and your SEO strategies. So that would be building up your community of, maybe you have the clientele and how can you guys help each other out? Maybe you do like a giveaway together. There's a lot of things that you can do within that is we could get more in detail about, which I think that would be a different podcast. But these are all the things that you kind of want to walk through in creating your strategy. So before you can ever create your strategy, you got to have the answers to some of these things. And there are more that we will go more into detail about in another episode. And most certainly, you guys, you know that I do this one-on-one and with group coaching. So I will put all the information down in the show notes so you guys have it at your fingertips. And then when you feel ready, you just push that button and let's get started.